yesterday we got some information and another look at both the Zombies maps Voyage of Despair as well as 9, a little bit ahead of schedule compared to when we'd see things happen during a panel at Comic-Con. And so this entire week is probably going to be focused on some new stuff coming out for Black Ops 4, Zombies in particular being that main focal point probably. But as of yesterday, we saw a little bit of that stuff come out. We also saw over on Reddit somebody that may actually have some inside information here. Now, their identity is anonymous at the moment. They were a fresh account on Reddit, and from there, they ended up posting a lot of stuff in relation to Zombies information and also Blackout information, which is what we're gonna be talking about here today. So first and foremost, this will contain potential spoilers. It is something that may actually be some leaked information, or it might be nothing. So take it with a grain of salt, but bear in mind that you might be going into this learning some stuff that if you want to go into the game fresh, it might not be fresh at that point whenever you get there if you watch further. But that said, one thing that I will say, and why I prefaced this with Zombies content, is because this same poster that posted about this Blackout leaked content did post about some zombie stuff that we got a little bit more information on Blood of the Dead, on 9, on some of the special weapons for the characters in Voyage and 9, and also the Premises Crew special weapons. Then we ended up seeing that he also posted all of this information before the trailer actually went out, and the trailer, having seen that gameplay now, actually did confirm some of the things that he mentioned for Voyage of Despair as well as 9. So when you take a look at that and the fact that he posted this before everything went out and still got everything right, well, it kind of points to the idea that maybe this is actually legit. So we're gonna be letting you know about everything here and breaking it down a little further for the Blackout information detailed as of yesterday. So firstly, list off everything here that was mentioned, little rapid fire round here with this, but then we'll break everything else down a little further and give you some more insight as to the rest of the stuff after we give that all. So first things first, he ends up saying that it's the largest map in COD history, but has a lot of focus on verticality. Then he also says that they're aiming for at the very least 50 players and are currently testing 64 players to see if that can increase even more if possible. The health is currently at 150 HP, but can be replenished with medkits that you can scavenge around the map, and there will be things like armor that'll allow you to take an extra shot, but armor-piercing rounds will counter the effect of that armor. There are limited inventory slots, but space can be increased via backpacks that you can pick up. Weapon loot has different rarities, and that rarity actually will dictate some of those attachments and how well the attachments and the weapons are, but that's subject to change. Then he also says that there are consumable abilities very similar to the multiplayer specialist abilities. So things like the portable barricade, the grappling hook, and the dog may very well be in the build of Blackout. Additionally, we can end up seeing the Recon RC and RCXD, but without explosives, can be scavenged to give a player a little bit of a map awareness advantage. And also there's one thing that supposedly a monkey bomb is in the build, but it doesn't explode and it's probably a placeholder for a decoy grenade. Then he also says that the land, air, and sea vehicles are seen in the teaser, but there's only one of them, that being the ATV that's fully functioning right now. He also says the storm and gas mechanic we see in other Battle Royale games is simply there as a visible wall and closes in on the map. And he also says that players right now do parachute into the map, but it's subject to change and may actually go the way of the Call of Duty Online spawn-in system. So that's the stuff that he detailed here for us. Am I skeptical? Absolutely, with this kind of stuff, because again, fresh accounts, it is something we have heard absolutely nothing about Blackout just yet. And this is a lot to take in all at one point, but where I do have a little bit of hope that maybe this actually is real and we can take a look at this being a little bit of our first information about Blackout is, again, he posted a lot of zombie stuff that did get confirmed by the trailer that did go live yesterday. So it is possible that he does have some information here, but that's up for you to decide, and again, I'd say take it with a grain of salt regardless. But let's break this down, because if you're like me, some of this stuff might seem like commonplace, but some of it might be quite alarming. So let's start out at the very beginning. Once again, we did say that this will be the biggest Call of Duty map in history, and there's a lot of focus on verticality. That's something that we can see in the teaser that we got back at the reveal event. There was that massive skyscraper, but they also mentioned we'd end up getting a lot of different fan favorite maps scattered throughout that, so it's kind of like the best of every world in the Black Ops franchise. One thing that he added on to this is that he said Nuketown is located in the middle of the map as an island surrounded by water set after the nuke dropped, and it looks very similar to Black Ops 2's Nuketown Zombies in aesthetic. So that might be what we end up seeing here at that. Think of Loot Lake or so, but Nuketown Lake. But that to me as a general blanket overall statement makes sense. You have something that David Vonderhaar said was 1,500 times the size of Nuketown, and that'll be the size of Blackout. That obviously makes sense. We've never seen anything that even is 20 times the size of Nuketown probably. The closest thing that even I think we could get to is some of the war maps and then maybe say Stonehaven and Ghosts. But the next point he makes is one of the first things that kind of alarms me here. They're saying at the very least they want 50 players and they're currently testing 64 right now with plans to increase that if possible. Now 50 I think is way too little. Battle Royale is of course something that is on a grand scale of around 100 players. I can understand maybe not getting to that magic level of 100 because I've kind of doubted the system in place, whether it be engine or server issues that the game may come in contact with, but 50, I just don't think, especially on that scale of a map, if it is that big, I don't think there's going to be any action to keep players really engaged. I think that the most you'll end up seeing is maybe 15 kill games, and that's like a world record. That'll be just incredibly hard to compete with without the gameplay being slow and tedious and maybe even boring. 64 players is something that we thought might actually happen, but I still think this might be a little too low. So in that sense, to hear it from potentially somebody that has inside information on it, kind of alarming if you ask me. I think my magic number and lowest that I would want to see is around 72 to 75, but ideally, I'd still love to see it up at that 100 player count that matches other industry standards. So I understand that's something that will be tough, but here's to hoping, I guess. The next thing they end up mentioning is the health at 150 HP, and that to me, I kind of thought that would be the case, and I think that's one of the reasons why they ended up shifting health from 100 to 150, even in multiplayer, to make it more tactical, is to kind of encompass what the tactical nature of a battle royale would be. And then when you add that armor is going to allow one extra shot, that's essentially what Crash will give you in multiplayer, of bringing you up to right around 200 HP for your health. Now, with medkits, that makes sense. I think that's going to be something we see that it's going to act very much so like Stim Shot, and it'll regen your health like that. Maybe have a slight time delay on it, and it's not going to instantly bounce you back up to 150, but to me, I think that entire regen mechanic also is built with Blackout in mind as well as multiplayer, so serving two purposes there. The idea of inventory slots with different backpacks that can be picked up, that again is nothing that really surprises me. We see that with all sorts of different games. H1Z1 and PUBG, definitely the big two on that market, where you have a limited amount of space for what you can bring along with you, and that's something that again seems to fit. It's nothing too out of the ordinary. The one other thing that also really kind of worries me is the weapon loot rarity. So this in itself shouldn't be all that big of a deal. We see games like Fortnite pull it off tremendously well. You have your common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary items within Fortnite, but why this makes me worried is that the sense of the rarity in Blackouts seems to actually give an air quote unfair advantage to whoever may end up finding something. That sort of stuff is all RNG, and therefore if somebody ends up dropping in and gets a legendary item right off the bat with more damage potential than somebody that say has the same exact weapon but in a common form, well obviously again that comes down to RNG in any battle royale game, but playing with the statistical properties of those in terms of rarity just based off of RNG dumb luck, that's a fine line you have to teeter as a developer to make it something that isn't an unfair advantage, but also offers incentive to try and go for those items and hope for those items instead of just a common all around. One thing that I'm also not really too big a fan of is the fact that right now as it stands, according to this air quote leak, we have these attachments that are strictly only available with certain rarities, and they're not something you can scavenge like PUBG to put different attachments on your weapon. They just come pre-made and pre-built onto the weapon and the rarity you end up picking up. They did say that that is subject to change, so in that sense I hope that system is turned around so that it mirrors that of PUBG's, because if there's a weapon that I want, say, a red dot or a holographic on, I'd much rather be able to toss one on for my inventory than have to rely on a certain rarity of a weapon to get it. The next thing mentioned is abilities, and again, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. I understand it's the operator and specialist thing that we've been playing around with in Treyarch for the last couple of years, but to me, I don't think that things like Nomad's Dog should be in a battle royale where you have one life and you're done. I don't think that that sort of 2-on-1 mentality just by a consumable ability is all that fair. Maybe I'm crazy and you guys disagree with me with it, but I don't really want to see anything like a portable barricade or a grappling hook. Portable barricade, actually, I take back. That actually would be all right. I think that's a little bit more tactical and doesn't really offer as much of a deterrent as something that will literally go out and attack you. It just simply would give you the option to build some cover real quick, and if it's only usable once, well, that's honestly not all that bad. But some of these are definitely, once again, on my books for what I would not want to see, so hopefully some of this stuff changes, but I guess we'll see. Other things mentioned again are equipments, RCXDs and recon RCs that are not explosive but instead are simply for recon. I'm totally cool with that. Again, that's just something that'll be cool to offer a way to play a little more tactically and maybe try and scout out some of your enemies if you don't have necessarily the best angle to view them. One thing that Blackout will differ from in terms of the other Battle Royale games on the market is that it won't be third person, it's all first person, so you can't third person peek or anything. So therefore, that sort of extra ability to scout won't be half bad. Another thing that does concern me though is the discussion of the land, air, and sea vehicles that we talk about whenever we want to see Blackout and what was teased from the very beginning. According to this guy, he says the ATV is the only fully functional vehicle at the very moment. And again, a couple of months out from when this is supposed to launch, it's kind of alarming that we don't see any air or sea vehicles, especially when two of the biggest things here out of this were the ATV and the helicopter in that teaser that we end up seeing. I'm not sure if we saw any boats or anything like that, but that is still, again, a massive difference and a massive holdout that if it doesn't end up getting completed in time, might actually upset a lot of people. One thing that I'm not really sure if I understand is he says the storm gas mechanic is currently a simple visible wall that closes in on the map. I'm not sure if I'm taking this literally like it's the trash compactor from Star Wars or if it's something that is just a placeholder texture where you can still go outside of it, you'll take damage, and it's still playable around it. But I don't know, that's again interesting. Maybe that's still again just that sort of early build and why we don't see anything more. But the final thing he did mention though was that players simply parachute into the map. I really hope this stays. That's what makes Battle Royales, I think, very interesting because you can see where everybody goes immediately, but if you spawn into an area, you won't see where other people are spawning in. So who's to say you don't spawn on top of somebody, and therefore it's again a just massive hectic first 30 seconds to a minute, but then the next 20 minutes you don't see a single soul because the majority of players all landed at that central building or at Nuketown. In that sense, I think that that offers a little bit more of the Battle Royale experience if you actually parachute into the map. So hopefully that doesn't change, but I guess we'll see. And again, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, take this all with a grain of salt. This guy did get some things right on the zombies end of what he posted yesterday and leaked, but again, that could be dumb luck. Maybe he ended up guessing very well and he has no other information outside of that. Or maybe this is all 100% true. We won't know until, of course, especially with the Blackout stuff, closer to the Blackout beta in September, but it was information that caught my eye, and as somebody that loves Battle Royale stuff and loves Call of Duty, well, of course, I'm definitely gonna be interested in this. I wanted to share it with you guys, and I definitely wanna get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this? Are any of these things alarming to you? Do you think any of these are spot on what they should be? Or is there anything that you really wanna contribute? Let's start a discussion here at this. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video though, and if you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Blackout, zombies, multiplayer, all that good stuff. We got you covered here up on the channel. So if any of that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. And also, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And also, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram as well, getting a little more active over there. So if you guys want to follow on that front, feel free to. That link is also in the description. With all that said and out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you all so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. Take care and peace.